I'm very, very thankful to the organizers for giving me the opportunity to share my thoughts on this auspicious day. And in front of such a large gathering, which are having expertise in their own fields, the co-speakers, Dr. Rajul Bendesai, Dr. Hema Swaminathan, Dr. Rita Sonawat, and the members organizing committee of this very university, that is Shri Vaishnav Vidyapeeth, Vishwavidyalaya, Indore. Very rightly told, Madam, by you that we are observing this. So I also support this statement of yours that this is a day which we don't celebrate. We don't need to celebrate this day. This is some observance. And I don't know up to when we have to do all these things. When we will have the equality, that is the main question. And the theme for this year, which has been released by the United Nations, that is claiming for gender equality today for a sustainable tomorrow. Now, coming to this very theme, I see gender equality and sustainable tomorrow for women from different lenses. From the rural background and from the urban background, the working women and the homemakers, the climate change and that is resulting into the environmental degradation and pollution, and then the gender inequality which we all are facing in various stages or various work schedule. Maybe it is related to the health, nutrition, work, income, or climate crisis, as the theme has been very rightly chosen by the United Nations this year. This is also one of the goal of the sustainable development, that is gender equality, goal number 5 of the SDG. So in that respect, my point of thinking is towards the sustainability which is related to the environment. Though we cannot confine this sustainability with the environment alone, it may be economic sustainability of the women, it may be social sustainability of the women, but because I think that SDG goal of number 5 that relates to the gender equality, and that is also perceiving this equality or sustainability with reference to the environment, with reference to the climate change, and of course the Beijing platform action, the 3 aspects which have been chosen there for the climate change and the environment degradation, environment pollution. So my point of discussion here would be related to the environment as a whole. So when we talk about for this sustainability, for the simple reason that vulnerability is due to climate change and pollution is impacting women more than men. This is my perception. Because of their works, that may be due to the working conditions or the need for the work. In rural areas, if you see women, they are more dependent on natural resources, which climate change threatens the most. And secondly, you see, due to the non-availability of the basic facilities, it also poses threats to the ways of life, the livelihoods, the health, safety, and security of the women and the girls. We all know that in rural areas or in hilly areas, because I have a rich connection with the hilly areas also. I did my PhD from the University of Kumaon, that is in Nainital, a hilly area. I got married there also. So I could see the women, how they work there. So the rural and hilly areas women, they are dependent mostly on the natural resources, and they are considered the primary users of the natural resources, land, forest, water. This is all, they are the persons who use all these things because they are responsible for their family personnel, that for gathering food, for fuel, fodder, fiber, small timber, you see, bamboo. These are the things which we find there in the hilly areas also. Then medicinal herbs and resin, gum, so many things, honey, that is also one of the business there, which we find in the hilly area. So the women, they are responsible for gathering all these things, and irrespective of their age or their physical ability, the women, they bear a responsibility for securing the food, water, and fuel. So these are essentials and crucial needs of the household for use and for sale. They have to be met every day by the women. Women as the different users of the natural produce, like collectors of the waters and firewood. They are the farmers also. They have a close connection with the local environment. This is all we find that the women, they are involved in. So in a way, they have a very close connection with the environment. They have a very close connection with the climate, and they have the very close connection with the natural resources. They are dependent on that, and that's why we can see that they are also the protector. They are the very good users of the natural environment and natural resources. Take the example of the agriculture. Agriculture is the most important employment sector for women, we all know. And women have always been the principal conservers of the biodiversity. They do seed selection, multiplication, transplantation, conversion, and all the things which are required for this agriculture. The women are doing all these things. And during the periods of drought and excessive rainfall, women as the agricultural workers and as the primary procurers, we can say, they work hard to secure the income and resources for their families. Further, you see that because of the population pressure, which has been increased, the male migration from the villages to the cities is seen very much. And that has also increased the women's workload. The women's responsibilities are also extended from the household duties to working in the fields as well. Women works as an unpaid laborers on the family farms with a greater role than of the men. They are taking the operational decision making. I'm not saying that they are the decision makers, but because the male members are not there, they are working in the cities. So what has to be done instantly, that is the work of the women also, but they are not being given any recognition for their decisions. They are not being given any recognition for the labor they do. They are not being given any money for the work they do. This puts additional pressure on the women also, that because the ladies and the female, they are working, then you see to support this thing, the girls or the daughters of their family, they also come to work. They have often to leave the schools also to help their mothers. The boys will not do, but the girls will do to help the mothers. This is something which we find as a practice in the areas, particularly in rural areas and the hilly areas. So we see that they spend most of the time in working in the farms. They feed and to the households also. And women representation is 60 to 80% activities in agriculture. And more than 30% of the population, women population, that is cultivators. But the point is that they are invisible. They are not seen. They are not there in the picture. They don't have the right even to own the land. As a student of law belonging to the legal discipline, we know that the agricultural lands are not to be in the name of the women, in the name of the female. This is the greatest irony which I could see, that the women mostly can't own the land and farms. However, this responsibility make them to learn more about what they do about the soil, the plants, the trees, and so many things. So they do not misuse these things, and they are, as I told you, have a close relation with the environment, and they are the protector of the environment. So the theme of the United Nations this time is very important for the purpose of understanding the working nature and working culture of the women who belongs to the rural background, who are involved in that. Because there are different types of the agriculture. There is urban agriculture also, there is agriculture also. so that is done only for the purpose of fun. But these rural agriculture, which I'm talking about, that is important, and for that they are not being given the power to own the land. They are not given any legal right to own that land. This is something which needs discussion, which needs the policymakers to come forward and to see that why these women are not being treated equally, which is the theme for empowering the women also. Then again, if we see that regarding the women's association with the environment, then in India, we find that large number of the herbs, the shrubs and the trees are traditionally worshipped. And who did all this? The women, they take the initiative. Trees are the nature's major processors for solar energy, we all know, and they are very vital also for the existence and for yielding the flowers, fruits, wood, and medicine. We all know the importance of what is that there, that is the bargat ped, people, neem. Every household, they must be having the this tulsi plant, and this ashoka is there, mango trees are there, they are all being worshipped. So a connection is being seen in the women working due to this, with the environment and with the natural resources as such. Besides, you see that we are also celebrating every year on the 5th June, the World Environment Day. That is also to conserve and to sustain the environment, the development in the nation concerned. And we also celebrate the Van Mahotsav. So my point here is that every time what we are doing, that is only just to have a sustainable development, a sustainable future, a sustainable tomorrow. And in maximum of these things, you'll find that the women have the greater role, and their role is very significant and very important to manage the natural resources. And they are the major contributors also for environmental rehabilitation and conservation because of their work connection. Women know about the environment, and so they are very, very protective and care they care for the environment. But because of their direct work with the nature, they also suffer from environmental problems. This is one of the point which needs discussion, because when you see disasters strikes, then women are the less likely to survive and more likely to be injured due to the long-standing gender inequalities that have been created, that have created the disparities in information, the disparities in the mobility also, in decision making also, because they are not the part of the environmental governance as such. They are not there in the policy making for that environmental issue, but they are the silent workers, as madam is saying, for some other issue, the silent workers. But these women who are working in the agricultural field, who are working with the nature, they're also the silent workers. They do the work, but they are not anywhere in the decision making, policy making authorities. They are not having any role in the environmental governance. So this is one of the point which is not leading towards the equality and empowerment of the women, which needs a discussion. And I think that the UN must have this thing in mind while projecting this theme for the year regarding the sustainability. Then we find that women, or all women in the rural areas, they don't have the proper places for answering the nature calls even, because for all these things you see that if they're shying for in the daytime, they don't go there, and when they go there, then you will find during the evenings, during the nights, then there are again more and more vulnerability due to very poisonous insects may be there, snake bites may be there, and in hilly areas the leopards, they come. And then if you find that their vulnerability, then number of women, they have been killed by the leopard there in the hilly areas, because they don't have the place for answering the nature call. So these are the realities on which we have to work upon. These are the realities on which the policies are required to be, made. And these are the realities on which every organ of the state has to come forward. It's not to be a matter of discussion during 8th March. It's not to be a matter of discussion during some particular days, but this is a matter in which we all have to think about, and to bring the women on the same pedestal, to provide the opportunity, equal opportunity, so that they may also come forward and they may be visible in the society for their work. Their work may be recognized, they may be acknowledged what they are doing for all the time as a silent worker. Then besides rural women, we find that the women who are living in the urban areas, they're also having some different types of the problems, and they are also facing different types of the health problems, because in urban areas, the problems are associated with the housing, the problems are associated with the noise, air, vehicular pollution. Many of the things are there, though it's not confined only to the women, but they are more affecting the women because of their existing bodily weaknesses, particularly the pregnant women, the lactating women. Lack of accommodation makes them also to adjust with the small dwellings in the urban areas. They spend more and more time in the kitchens for cooking purposes, and because of these small dwellings, you see, there is no moving place also, inefficient fuel and improper ventilation, that also makes them disease prone. The factors such as the traffic density, ventilation, surrounding environment, so all these types of the things, they are, affecting the women in the urban areas also. And we find that the women who are weak by virtue of being, sometimes it's old women or the pregnant women, so generally they don't move outside, and they are not having the movement from out of their home, and that's why they are also facing different types of the environmental problems or the pollution problems, which is leading towards the moisture-laden close conditions. They suffer from the respiratory diseases, and many other diseases are there. And you see the loud noise that is also there, resulting into the dizziness, into headache, and hypertension, and many more diseases are there. So we find that the women in urban areas also suffer from these complications. And we further see that the question is how to deal with all these problems, because the women, they are facing the problems in the urban areas also, they are facing the problems in the rural areas also. They may be belonging to the old age, they may be the girl child, so they may be the girls or grown-up girls. So at every age, every stage, you find that the girls, the women, the female, they are facing different problems. And what are the existing protections and policies for women, and at the national and international level? We all know the World Commission on the Environment and Development Report 1987, that proposed the definition of the sustainable development, and in that way everybody must be aware about that definition of the sustainable development, and whether that definition is being fulfilled, it is being interpreted accordingly or not, to meet the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generation. That is what this is said about. So we find that this model of sustainable development, which is able to meet the needs of the present without compromising the resources for the future generations, that needs judicious use of natural resources. That is not to be degradative, and that is something which is sustaining the natural resources. So the very purpose is that don't take more than you share. Whatever we can do, we will be sharing only up to that stage. That is what is the meaning of this definition. So in that respect, how the women can share, how the women can use, how the women can sustain this development, this environment, that is the main issue. Then again, you will find that the Committee on the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women, that is also clarified the gender equality, and that is to achieve the de facto equality with that of the men. So what is required is that whatever laws are there, which are meant for the male members, that are also meant for the female members. But whether the outcome of that equality is being given to the women concerned or not, this is one of the area which needs further discussion at this forum, because we find that the discrimination against women is always there, whether it is including the structural, it is depending upon the historical grounds, or many other things are there. Legal equality is ensured, but that legal equality is not being implemented properly, and that's why you see that this Beijing Action of Platform, and out of this 12 critical areas, that is related to the women equality, and that is also related to the environment issue, which is important for this very theme. So that also provides for the involvement of the women actively in the environment decision making. As I told you that the women's presence in the decision making is totally neglected. They are not being seen in the decision making. So this was one of the aspects of the Beijing Declaration in 1995. And further integrating their concerns and perspectives in the policies and programs, that is also another pointer or options. There are many policies, programs from national level, international level, to improve the ecology, at the same time to bring the equality to the women concerned. But the point is that how much women has been given the equality, that is important. Though the women, they are showing their close connection with the environment, that they are sustaining their environment. Whether it's a case of Amrita Devi, Bachi Devi, Medha Pategar, Vandana Shiva, many names I can quote. So we see that the women and girls, they are effectively working at their end, but the requirement or the need is that these are also required to be legalized. These things are also required, that they should be given the proper participation, they should be given the leadership training, they should be given more and more effective climate action on their part. That is my point. They may be allowed to have their own voice, and they should be treated as the equal players in the decision making related to the climate change. My point is only that because the women, they are the users of the natural resources for their family members, they are working hard, but their visibility is not there, their work is not recognized. From international to national to local level, there are many provisions, policies, laws, and government programs everywhere. Women, they are contributing to the environmental rehabilitation and conservation, but we find that there is greater gender inequality also, though, as I told you, SDG is also providing for equality, but it is not being seen. And that's why my point is that with empowering women, we can witness equality. So don't wait, go green, go equal, and enjoy the pollution-free tomorrow. So with these words, I close my talk here. And I'm sorry that I have taken some extra time to discuss the issue, because the area, environment, atmosphere, and everything is so large that we cannot confine ourselves on the issues concerned. So thank you very much. Thank you for giving me the time.
Thank you, Dr. Saxena.